Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder.
And if you are returning, welcome back. If you're new, what we do here is we critique stuff from our corners.
Hence the title.
Yes. We usually review something new or more contemporary and then pair it with something classic or older. And then we also review stuff that we've been watching on our own. Though this week is a little different. Although we do have one that's a new show. But our two movies this week are definitely more in the older classic category.
Yeah, some weeks we just can't find something from the last decade that's on the streaming services we have access to that seems worth it.
Yeah, and we've kind of had our fill of Netflix original.
Although, ironically, we did end up reviewing a Netflix original, but with a twist. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yes, we will, yeah.
But before we get started, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, hit the bell.
Yes, indeed.
Donate to Daniel's Coffee, Subscribe Star, Patreon.
Yeah.
Locals, OnlyFans.
Oh, no, not
only. All of our other platforms. Okay, seriously. Like, subscribe, bell. And you can always follow our Twitters if you like. Although I'm not super active on there, having a day job and all that.
Yes. And also, too, you can buy some books.
That'll be appreciated.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, links are in the description down below. Guardian Angel Part 2 now on Indiegogo, and DB's got a whole series of novels on Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although, you know who isn't burdened with a day job?
Jay and Silent Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob. So, we decided to review Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I saw it available for streaming somewhere. I had never actually seen the whole movie. And when I suggested it, and by the way, we were picking over the bones of what looked interesting to review.
Yes.
Like Inside Baseball, like usually after the show, we'll spend like a half hour or so just chatting and picking out movies and putting together the thumbnails and everything. We picked our real classic movie pretty early on, as I recall, but we were just flailing around, and I finally said, okay, how about Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? When I suggested this, I had no idea that Daniel really hadn't seen any of Kevin Smith's movie corpus.
No, I have not.
So this must have made no sense to you whatsoever.
Not really, no. Although thankfully I knew enough about his movies that I was kind of able to piece some things together and figure out who was who. So like specifically, like, I mean, I knew Jay and Silent Bob were, but like, like the guys from Clerks, I know who they are. Ben Affleck's character. It took me a minute to figure out that, oh, that's his character from Chasing Amy. And then although what's his name's character, the guy at the far end there.
I think he's from Mallrats, as I recall.
Okay, Mallrats. All right.
Well, at least the comic book store, I think, is from Mallrats.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I had not. No, I'm not partaken of any Kevin Smith movies. So yeah, this was an experience.
Yeah. So I think that this is probably the most self-indulgent movie I've ever seen, and I'm even counting things like the Taika Waititi Thor movies, the Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, because I am amazed that Smith got the funding to put this together.
Yeah. Well, he must have still been really good friends with Weinstein.
Yeah, that couldn't have hurt. Also, I looked at the budget on Wikipedia. It was like 22 million, and it made 33 million back. So, but this was also when it would have gotten a lot of Blockbuster rentals, cable, which is where I had seen scenes from it before, which is why I was always intrigued.
Yeah.
VHS and DVD purchases.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I remember seeing the trailer for it in theaters, and I remember thinking at the time, like, it looked really stupid.
You weren't wrong. So this movie is basically, well, it starts off as sort of an origin story of Jay and Silent Bob, who just have really irresponsible mothers who leave them outside in the open in front of the video rental store, where they'll eventually make a living selling pot on the side of the road.
Yeah. An interesting little bit of trivia. The baby playing Silent Bob is actually Kevin Smith's daughter.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised to see that. Like, that's a neat little thing. Like, she was the right age to, not look, or for it not to matter.
Yeah.
Also, she's named Harley Quinn Smith, which, boy, I wonder if she has an opinion on how that character's been degraded over time.
Yeah. And, hey, Garcos, good to see you. Says Kevin Smith should stay in front of the screen instead of behind it. Never seen Mallrats, but this and Clerks are classics. Yeah, I need to see Clerks at some point.
I would say Clerks is good. I would actually say if you only watch one of his movies, my favorite is Dogma. That was basically him going through some stuff with his faith, and so it's actually that's why somebody refers, or I think there's a scene where Jay refers to God as a she. Well, that isn't like being weird. That's because in that movie he's met God, and she was played by Alanis Morissette.
Oh, okay. Jeez. Okay.
So like the references pile high. But what the movie really is that, and I actually had some of these comic books back in the day. They had a comic book that was based on the antics of Jay and Silent Bob called Blunt Man and Chronic. And Jay and Silent Bob discover that the comic book creator played by Ben Affleck and Jason Lee.
Yeah.
Actually, no, is it Jason? Yeah, Jason Lee. Had sold their rights to a movie to make a comic book movie, which, boy, that 2001, that would have been like a Blade level thing at most.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's only a year after X-Men.
Yeah, so this thing would not have. I kind of call BS on the whole premise that this movie would actually get greenlit and made, but they deal with a very, very early online forum where everyone is making fun of them, and so they go, "We got to stop them from making that movie." Never mind that they should really be going out there to go, "Hey, we want the money based from that movie that's based on our lives."
Yeah, which I think even Ben Affleck's character was kind of telling them to do that.
Right, just take the money. No, man, people are making fun of us.
Yeah, they fail to realize that, like, well, yeah, it's the internet. People are going to make fun of you. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yep. Oh, by the way, I realized that since I now know one person who had never seen one of these movies before. So Jay and Silent Bob, classic stoner comedy pair. Jay is the foul-mouthed, loud one. Personality is actually very similar to Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, now that I think about it. Bombastic idiot who thinks he knows everything.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith's character is Silent Bob, who's largely silent.
When he's until he isn't. Actually the dynamic between the two of them kind of reminded me of Phineas and Ferb.
Actually, yeah, it's just an R-rated Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
Also, way less IQ, but
yeah.
But it's clear that Bob is the smart one, but he just goes along because he doesn't like talking.
Yeah. And so it's basically a road trip movie,
which I gotta say I was not expecting, because Although, okay, when I saw the movie, I saw bits of the end where they were in Hollywood,
Mm.
and I had never seen this poster where they have the clear map in the background. Now that I look at it,
Oh, yeah.
or if I had seen it, I had missed the map aspect. So I just assumed the whole thing would be them taking the piss out of Hollywood.
Yeah, and they do it to a degree in a few scenes with like well a lot of it was making fun of Miramax.
Right. But yeah, like all road comedies, you have a big middle where they run into a bunch of nonsense, and I'd say
Yeah.
that part was pretty good. Uh, uh, God. So they run into George Carlin, who I guess was a buddy of Smith's, or at least was willing to show up in his movies repeatedly.
Yeah.
Um, and he's playing a hobo, and hey, it's assumed that you give mouth love if somebody picks you up on the side of the road. It's what makes everything go. Then a nun played by Carrie Fisher, picks them up, and
Yeah.
she says something to the effect of, "Well, you know what you have to do." Okay.
Okay. Yeah, the entire time they're sitting in the car, they're talking about two different things.
Yeah. And then so at that point the movie was firing on all cylinders. It was just goofy, silly fun.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole subplot with the love interest was padding.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt that way. Yeah, because well, I mean, let's face it, Kevin Smith was looking for an excuse to put four beautiful women in skin tight cat suits.
Yes, and really,
Who can
yeah,
blame him? I mean,
yes. Also, this was apparently originally meant to be the last movie made in this universe, so it makes some sense to give Jay a love interest to ride off into the sunset with.
yeah. Huh. Yeah, because I think Clerks 2 came out after this, right?
Yep, and Clerks 3.
Yeah.
And there's probably some others mixed in there. I don't know if any of his other movies qualify as being part of this continuity.
Yeah, because I think there was another. I think they did another Jay and Silent Bob movie,
Or like a cartoon or something. I'm not super versed in it.
Yeah, they did. Well, yeah, there was a Clerks cartoon.
That came out before this, I want to say.
Okay,
I actually want to say, yeah, I actually own this on DVD. By the way, sidebar, I kind of feel like the Clerks animated series was unjustly. ABC did not treat animation well, and they kept asking for adult animation, then not being sure what to do with it.
Yeah.
Between this and the Critic.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Okay, yeah, there was a Jane Silent Bob reboot is what it's called. It came out in 2019.
Okay, I vaguely remember hearing about that.
Yeah,
but anyhow,
yeah,
so in the course of things, these beautiful women are a part of some sort of animal liberation front type thing with a very dirty name that I would choose not to go into here.
yeah, boy, yeah. They went all out with that joke, didn't they?
Yeah, and Will Ferrell is an insane park ranger trying to catch them.
Yeah, because they stole an orangutan.
Yep. And what really struck me was just what a different world 2001 was, because maybe that's why Kevin Smith has spent the last 10 years being politically correct, being a nerd shill for hire, making things like the He-Man cartoon reboot.
Yeah.
Just as a huge apology for this phase of his life.
Yeah. It was a simpler time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't think. Yeah, this is one of those movies they couldn't make today.
Yeah. And unlike Tropic Thunder, I don't necessarily know that we're worse off for not being drowning in movies like this.
No, yeah.
Like, I think it ends well and it starts well.
Yeah.
Because like I love the bits where they just keep playing around with Ben Affleck, like being multiple roles in the movie, including as Ben Affleck in
Yeah.
a sequel to Good Will Hunting.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have a whole code for him having a dead hooker in this trailer.
Yeah. Another joke he would get in trouble for today.
Yeah. Oh man.
Also, when they were on the Miramax lot, there was a character just in a comic book accurate Daredevil costume. I wonder if that was Affleck too. Like he was in that for that scene.
Maybe, yeah. Because
Um,
this came out just before Daredevil.
yeah, like I forget what year that came out. Was it like 2003? Let's find out.
I want to say 2002. Because I
There.
actually had a friend who worked in the movie theater,
Okay,
and he quit his job opening night of that movie.
February 14th, 2003.
Oh, 2003. Okay.
I'd forgotten they kind of put that out in the dead zone.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. That's a
Actually, that one did have Elektra very heavily focused on, so I guess that it's kind of like the Deadpool logic, I guess.
yeah.
But yeah, it's like short of sitting here and just recounting a bunch of gags. There's some cameos you might expect. There's some cameos you might not expect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that before watching this, you definitely would have to have. I would say like Clerks is a must. Mallrats, as long as you can just accept that they know a guy who runs a comic book shop, you don't actually have to know anything about that.
Yeah.
Dogma, like I said, just had a couple of offhanded jokes that yeah, I think if you just see Clerks and then maybe pick one of their other movies and watch it, you're probably in good shape.
Yeah. Okay.
It is just dumb stoner comedy, which is exactly what it promised.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Which, if I'm being honest, stoner comedy really isn't my forte.
No, I will say that Jay's actor, Jason Mewes, he definitely, because of the silent nature of Silent Bob, he does have to carry the movie, and he does a good job doing enough talking for the both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
He's got this weird asshole charisma, is what I'll call it,
Yeah.
which is very hard to pull off.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the performances were decent in this. Although we were remarking before the show that Chris Rock is kind of like a non-entity in this movie.
Yeah, he is there strictly because in 2001 he was a huge deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you
But
get
yeah.
way more Will Ferrell than him.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah. And this movie was before Will Ferrell was a thing.
Right. Like at this point, he was just a up and comer on SNL, if I recall my timing properly.
I think it might have been at the tail end of his SNL stint, and then he was transitioning to movies. But yeah, I mean, it's all right. I like I said before, I should probably watch Clerks just to get a better sense of Kevin Smith's like style.
I would call it his most culturally significant contribution.
Yeah.
I think that my favorite of his movies I've seen is Dogma still.
Yeah.
But I think we are struggling to find anything to talk about besides just rattling off jokes.
Yeah.
So it's time to take a leap. I hope someone can rescue us.
Yes. Yeah. Para Rescue Jumper.
A Netflix original. This one, okay, let me tell you how we ended up watching this one. So last week, I was through a weird combination of scenarios. I was with my aunt and uncle watching, or we were just trying to pick out a thing to watch on Netflix. and my aunt picked this one, and I was like, and I said, okay, I could probably like this, but she probably won't. So I did try to warn her. Oh, this looks like it's a TV show, not a movie. All the actors' names are Japanese. This will probably be subtitled.
Yeah.
And then she got a phone call just as the show was starting, and as I told her, I guess it was convenient enough that it was a subtitled thing since you were on the phone the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and DB DM'd me and said, hey, if you want to watch something new, there's this. It's pretty pretty decent watch. I'm like, oh, okay. And as I started watching it, I noticed that the way the story is structured, the way the characters are, the way they're acting, the tone of the show, and everything, it felt like a live action anime.
Yeah, way more than a lot of other Japanese live action things I've watched. And I did a little bit of digging. I could not find any evidence that this was based on a manga or anime. So I wonder if I did some deeper dives on who the writers or creators were, that I would find out that there was some sort of connective tissue there.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. Because I mean, you could make this into an anime. Like there are a lot of anime shows that are along similar lines to this one. I mean, Rail Wars comes to my mind.
This is so much better than Rail Wars.
Oh,
Rail
yeah,
Wars
yeah.
is based on the least interesting alternate universe concept ever. What if the Japanese railway industry was never privatized?
Yeah. Yeah.
This show has a much more interesting premise, which is basically a class of rescue jumpers who are just helicopter trained and have to jump into or go rescue people in the mountains who are drowning, deal with disasters, and so on. And it's a grueling process. And part of the show's strength is that they show you just how grueling this process is.
Yeah, it is. I would say not quite as grueling as, say, Navy SEAL training, but pretty close.
Right, because the challenge that you have is, if you're a rescue person, is you not only have to manage your own self, you have to manage someone else. So,
Yeah.
you need to stay floating in this 20-foot deep pool. No using your hands. Keep your hands above the water line.
Yeah.
We run literally everywhere. Okay, guys, you're on break now. Go back. Go get your lunch. Run back to the mess hall.
Yeah. Yeah, you had to learn how to climb up the walls, climb up the ladders, yeah. All that fun stuff.
Now,
And
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is an ongoing TV show. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. As of recording now, there are 2 up there.
Yeah.
The first one deals with, so it's a very much like it's an ensemble cast. So not all characters have really emerged yet.
Yeah, the first episode we meet their instructor, Usami, and he's kind of one of you compared him to All Might in terms of like his personality.
Right, just older man, very physical, very very energetic, not afraid to look silly. Like he did weird things like make them praise the sun with in their underwear.
Yeah, he has a very unorthodox approach to instruction, and he's he kind of has he's tough at times, but also at the same time he definitely cares about his about the trainees, and he wants them to succeed, and so he'll actually like spend time with them one-on-one, which I mean I don't know if that's customary in Japan.
I don't either. I mean, when it's only a class of 7, you would hope that you'd have a little bit of time for one-on-one training. Um, the other All Might similarity is that he is clearly putting off some knee surgery, because if he goes in for this knee surgery, he'll be rated as unfit to continue with the rescue force.
Yes, yeah, much like All Might's injury. Yeah,
Yes. So I'm not going to lie. I honestly thought they were going to pull the pin out of that grenade in the first episode when he was doing a physical challenge, and they didn't really hint or show at it. But I wonder if that's just going to come up later in the show at a key moment.
oh, I'm sure it will. Yeah, they do like if they actually have to do like a rescue of something, and yeah, he ends up just blowing out his knee completely.
Yep. And the first episode deals with our main character's survivor guilt, because the reason he wants to be a rescuer is that when he was a child, he and his dad were lost up in the mountains, and and he was rescued. His father was not, and so he always wanted to pay that forward for someone else.
Right. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Lost Daniel. Well, I appear to still be live, so I'll just continue on with the plot summary until he gets back.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, cool. Phew. Did you do that thing I do sometimes where I X the wrong browser window?
No, it just my connection cut out for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
Where?
So anyway, main character, survivor's guilt, wants to pay it forward, and it's handled in a very sympathetic and sensitive way.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And they, and obviously they have, he has that moment where he just like has to come to terms with that survivor's guilt, and
right, because if he can't do that, he can't be a good rescuer, because yeah, you can sacrifice your life, but don't go dying pointlessly.
Yeah.
Also, the other aspect of this being such harsh training is that they can have up to 50% abandonment rate, and the goal this year is to get all 7 students through, which is probably why the instructor is working so hard to get them all through and give them individual attention.
Yeah.
The other subplot is that he has a daughter who has decided that, like, I guess, like, she doesn't understand him. So for her college thesis, she's doing it on the unit.
Yes. Yeah, and she starts spending a little more time with her dad, and yeah, there's another little anime thing in there where our main character, he meets the daughter and he really likes her, and then he and the instructor is just like, it's like, nope, stay with my daughter.
Yeah. So yeah, the first episode does a good job of setting the stage. And I suspect it's going to go with the typical thing where each episode introduces another character more fully. And I apologize for not having character names here. The IMDb page for this is a little bit scant.
Yeah.
The only person whose character is actually named is the instructor on here.
Yeah.
But we'll call her the girl.
Yes, the one woman in the amongst the trainees, first ever woman in to be part of the to get through to this stage.
And what I thought was really funny was that I'm not sure if this is strictly a Netflix original or if this is like a Japanese television station came out with this and partnered with Netflix. Because we know from things that Netflix has certain like quotas and rules and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I feel like this show is doing its best to honor the letter of those rules, but not the spirit.
Yeah.
Because, well, for one thing, one of the members of the squad is he's like a quarter African, I want to say, or quarter or half African. I think is.
Yeah. His first name's Randy. I remember that.
That's right. And but he just like in the second episode, he just makes a point about how Japanese he is, which that
Yeah.
that feels kind of like not what they would expect.
Yeah.
But the plot with the female cadet is basically she has kind of the classic chip in her shoulder that you see from so many, to use an inartful term, girl boss narratives that you see on places like Netflix.
Yeah.
Like yeah, she doesn't want help from anybody. She has to prove herself. But what's funny is that they actually had some debates like they're going on in the real life military right now for, should we have a lower standard for female cadets? You know,
Yeah.
you see some higher ups debating that. And her whole character arc in that episode is about her having to accept help where she is physically unable to actually compete on a level playing field. But also she is admired for not using her gender to try and get special treatment.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very interesting juxtaposition there.
Yeah. Hello, based department.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly think that a lot of it is, you were mentioning the comparison to anime. I think that part of what makes anime so refreshing for a lot of people outside of the country is that the characters, it's like the default attitude is that of a character is that I am not useful unless I am accomplishing something. So you very rarely have characters whose goal is just to take it easy. It's just like, hey, I'm here at this place. I want to show that I earned my spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think this show definitely is shows a much more merit-based system, which you would expect from something like this, from a job, or whatever you want to call it, a service like this, where it's, yeah, you got to be the best of the best to be able to do this. And
Yep.
yeah, it's just, yeah.
Right. But and they also like they all want her to stay around. They all want her to grow and be able to do this because she does bring her own strengths. Like they talk about how she has such an iron will.
Yeah.
So I just appreciate this show.
Yeah.
Like okay, the second episode being kind of based, like I said, that did help. That did like make me enjoy it more on an ironic level, but it's just solid human drama.
Yeah, it is.
Even from the first episode, which doesn't have any of that aspect to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And this is the kind of show that they used to make in Hollywood.
Yeah. And who knows, there might still be some of it somewhere. I don't watch everything, but I can't think of the last time I just picked a random show on Netflix with a setting like this, and it was actually like this.
Yeah. It's been a while for me too. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would give it a watch if any of you are interested out there, and you want to watch a Japanese television show with subtitles.
Yep, that is the thing. I didn't have a chance to check to see if they actually had a dubbed version, but I'm gonna doubt it because it seems like a pretty small production.
Yeah.
It's also probably going to be a one season wonder if it is a Netflix original, just judging by how scanty the IMDb is, because you know how fans are.
Yeah.
So yeah, just appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking things for what they are,
Yeah.
so Daniel watched this on his own.
Yes. Yeah, I watched Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest, which is kind of the new spin-off fairy tale series that started up. I think the manga started about 4 or 5 years ago, and they finally adapted it into an anime. The first season is now on Crunchyroll. I only managed to get to the first 3 episodes. But yeah, so it takes place, I think, a year after some event in Fairy Tail happened. I'm not entirely sure. I dipped out of Fairy Tail like around season 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It just, yeah.
I mean, Hiro Mashima is like, he is one of the best-selling mangaka of all time. I think that Fairy Tail is in the top 10 pretty easily.
Yeah.
In terms of overall Japanese manga sales. But ever since Rave Master, which I still maintain is his peak storytelling, he does tend to kind of get into certain habits and repeat tropes a lot.
Yeah. And I'm a little fearful he's doing that again with this show. One of the reasons I dipped out of Fairy Tail was because they would do these long story arcs. And it was just like they would do these 20 episode story arcs, and basically each episode was just like one long fight scene. And it kind of got really repetitive and it got really boring after a while. But hopefully that they don't do that with this, but I'm kind of seeing some signs of it, at least in the first 3 episodes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I decided to look the series up because I was thinking, how could he possibly be drawing this while also doing what do you call it? What's that other
Eden Zero?
Eden Zero. It turns out that he has been writing and storyboarding this, but it's being drawn by someone else.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. The thing where I said, oh my gosh, how many volumes do you think this has, and how long do you think it's been running?
I'm going to say it's got 20 volumes, and it's been running for 4 years.
So you were right on 20 volumes, which is kind of obscene for a spinoff like this. And yeah, that could very easily mean that we are going to have the same sort of pacing he usually has. Been running since 2018, which that math makes me think that this might not be on a weekly schedule, but I'd have to try run it again.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but yeah, so basically the crux of this series is the core group of Fairy Tail, which is, I mean, that's Natsu, Lucy, Urza, Gray, and Wendy, along with Happy and Charlotte, who are the 2 cats. They take on the big, huge 100 years quest, which is the reason it's called the 100 years quest is because it's been around for 100 years. Not that it takes 100 years to complete it.
Oh, or see, I was thinking it was more special than that because, like, the quest is only available every 100 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But no, it's been around for 100 years. It's been on Fairy Tail's board for 100 years.
Okay, so this isn't like this isn't what the person who would give the quest would call it, or this isn't what. Okay, that makes a bit more sense because I was just thinking to myself, this year I'm going off on the 25-year quest.
Yeah. And Arco says he never watched Fairy Tail, heard good things, couldn't make it through season 1. Shame because he enjoyed Rave Master.
Rave Master is like his least marketable series, but it's his best in my opinion still.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, there are our core Fairy Tail group. They go on the 100 years quest, and they find out that the quest is actually to find 5 dragon gods and seal them away. And they find out that the term sealing away could mean anything. It could mean killing him. It could mean like encasing him in ice, or like doing sealing up magically. However that means. And it was started by this guy, and I can't remember the name of the guy who started the quest, and he was the one. He started the very first wizard guild in all of this magical world that fairy tale takes place in, and he started it because he was trying to seal away the dragon gods, but then it didn't work, and then he ended up becoming a dragon, hence why he's still alive. And so they signed our heroes, they sign on the dotted line this contract that they'll, if they complete the 100 years quest, they each get a wish fulfilled, and it can be anything their heart desires.
Yeah, that isn't ominous at all.
No, not ominous at all. Yeah. It's quick there. Of course, he's quick to point out that every wizard that has attempted this quest is died. The only one who survived was Gildarts, who is like the top wizard in fairy tale. He didn't complete the quest, and he survived, but he lost like his arm and his leg and most of his innards. And also Gildarts is Kanna's father. Kanna's she's the one who is the drinker.
Is that why she drinks? Out of sympathy for her father? No, I just do it recreationally.
Yeah. I love that chick. Anyway, so then as they go off on their on the quest, their first stop is in this town where the people turn into fish at night, and they meet they worship the sea dragon, and so then they ask about the sea dragon, and of course they think that they're there to kill the sea dragon, so they imprison them, and then they meet other dragon slayers who are also on the exact same quest, and they're just as of course, as you expect, they're incredibly evil, because they to gain the dragon's powers, they eat the dragons, they eat their flesh.
Oh, so I imagine that Natsu isn't too fond of them, since he likes dragons more or less.
You would be right about that, yeah. And there's also another subplot where a new member of Fairy Tale shows up, and her name is Tora, and she's got
Toka?
like Toka, yeah. And she has a lot in common with Juvia, which if you don't know Juvia, she's the water girl who is like madly in love and always constantly stalking Gray. And this new girl, she also uses water magic, and instead of being madly in love with Gray, she's madly in love with Natsu. And
but she's one of the best characters. Why not just bring Juvia along?
I don't know.
They do the same jokes.
Yeah. Well, apparently she's not all she seems, because Jalal, who is a character throughout Fairy Tale and is like a kind of like on again, off again love interest for Urza, is looking for her because there's something off about her, and the other people who believe the same are of course Juvia and Gajil, he's like the metal dragon guy with all the piercings.
One of the most underused characters.
Yes, yeah, and his cat guy, I can't remember what his name is, but yeah, it's yeah, the black one, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's Fairy Tale. It's got all of the hallmarks of the series that you would expect. It's got all the magic fights, and all the characters are still the same. They're and of course an abundance of fan service. From Lucy and Urza.
Better not be from Wendy.
But no, nothing from. Well, Wendy is in a bikini. I know.
So,
Well, technically, there was a 7-year time skip, so I think technically she's like 19, but it's still not
She
right.
okay, does she age like a Saiyan from Dragon Ball then, where she just remains childlike and then just ages all at once at some point? Is that how this
Probably.
works?
I don't know, probably.
Because she looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
Actually,
she
everyone
is.
looks exactly the same.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So I gotta admit that your summary makes me a little bit disappointed because, but it also, this is why reviews are helpful. I would have gone into this assuming that this was like a smaller, more focused story or something, or maybe even a movie.
Yeah.
Because I've been seeing this on my Crunchyroll for months on end, but I think I'm gonna sit it out.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for that too, that it was more of a singular focused story. And it could be. I don't know. Like I said, I'm only 3 episodes in. Um,
This kind of feels like a hero wanting to keep working on his guaranteed moneymaker while he went off to do Eads Zero. So that's
yeah.
interesting.
Actually, it does feel more like Eden Zero than it does than the original fairy tale.
Interesting. I guess that does
Yeah.
kind of show the change in his writing style and maturity and whatnot.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll stick with it a little longer just to see if hopefully this current story arc that they're on right now doesn't last more than another episode or two.
So, so it sounds like a very tepid endorsement.
Yeah, pretty tepid. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get a tepid endorsement? American Gangster.
Yes. I actually remember when this movie came out. I think it was in college. And
2007?
yeah, 2007. Yeah. It would have been junior year of college. But it didn't really interest me that much. I guess at the time, I think it was probably because I wasn't really into movies like this back then. I mean, I was more into like Transformers.
Right. I mean, what I'll say is that doing this podcast has given me a deeper appreciation for this sort of thing.
Yeah, same here. But yeah, well, what's interesting is that this movie takes place like late 60s to about mid 70s,
Mhm.
and it's in New York, and my uncle was living in New York at that time, and this movie is based on a true story. My uncle had never heard of Frank Lucas, the guy that Denzel Washington plays. So didn't know who he was. Never heard of him.
To be fair, your uncle probably wasn't getting heroin in Harlem, so
No, he was not. No, he definitely wasn't. Yeah.
Yep. So overall storyline: Denzel Washington plays Frank Lucas, who in the movie is the second-hand man to Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson, the boss of Harlem. When Johnson dies, Lucas decides that he's done playing second banana and he's going to use all of the knowledge and skills he's picked up as the number two to take over the city. And the way he's going to do that is with a new brand of premium, higher quality heroin.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Russell Crowe is basically playing the white guy from 48 Hours. When you get down to it.
Yeah, he is.
just he's Jewish and way less racist.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got all the same trademarks of him, dresses the same, acts the same.
Kind of a slob.
Kind of a slob, yeah. Womanizer, yeah.
Yep. And he is he starts off as a detective on the New York police force before getting put into a special drug agency under the Nixon administration.
Yes, and as he's in doing his own investigations, that's when so what kind of spurs him on too is that his partner is becomes addicted to heroin, and because they found a trunk full of almost $1 million in cash, and they didn't take any of it, and they reported it.
Right, which apparently, at least the way that this movie is portraying it, and I don't doubt this was the case in reality, they are portrayed as being hilariously corrupt here.
Mhm.
The police force, I mean, not Russell Crowe's character.
Which, yeah, I think that's how it was back then. Yeah. Um, yeah. So his partner, they deal with the ramifications of it, and then his partner gets addicted to heroin, and then he ends up overdosing on the premium heroin that Denzel Washington is bringing into America from the Golden Triangle, which is that area in Southeast Asia with like Vietnam, Cambodia, and what was it, Laos?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, or Thailand, I can't remember. Um, and so yeah, that spurs Russell Crowe on to find out who's peddling this drug, and of course Denzel, his Frank Lucas, his whole thing is staying under the radar. It's like you see, I mean, you see how he dresses here. He doesn't dress flashy. He doesn't flaunt his money or anything like that. He doesn't drive like nice cars. I think like the nicest thing he does is he gets a penthouse, which is a multi-million-dollar penthouse.
Gets a penthouse, gets a big house for his family to live in, because he kind of does like what seems to be the typical Southern expectation that if you make it big, you're going to invite your family in and get them a big place to live in.
Yeah, because he's originally from North Carolina.
So it's I kept reminding me of the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie.
Yes, yeah, very much. Yeah.
Even the same sort of Greek column style house. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. It did kind of. Yeah, it did look like Graceland. And yeah. So well, and that's the other part of it too, is he gets all of his brothers to come work for him.
Yeah. So this was directed by Ridley Scott, and what really just kept making me, or I kept being reminded of, was movies like Goodfellas or Wolf of Wall Street, just without the comedic edge that Scorsese brings to his movies.
Right. Yeah. This is very much a very dark movie. Yeah. The other thing it reminded me of too was not as much, but a little bit of God, I just lost the name of it.
That other drug movie we watched.
Yeah, with Wesley Snipes.
New Hearts, new something.
New Jack City.
New Jack City. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and a little bit of that too.
And not just because they had. Okay, I feel like it's a thing where if you have somebody sorting drugs for you, you usually have them do it in their underwear or in the buff, because you don't want them to be able to sneak any of it away.
Right.
Boy, it sure is funny how every director who I've seen who gets to portray that type of thing uses it as an excuse to show some boobs.
Yes.
No, really, it's artistic.
Yeah, no. There's a reason for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Why aren't there any guys sorting? Because that would be gay. I mean, I'm crap.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I kid.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is just the nature of the actors in here. Like, this isn't Leo DiCaprio or Joe Pesci, who these actually, Russell Crowe does bring a bit of sardonic comedy to his character, because he's kind of a schlub.
Oh yeah, and he the other part of it too is that he's going to night school to get his law degree, and which he ends up using later on in the movie. But yeah, he's and the other part of it too is, of course, he's divorced, and his ex-wife is taking their son and moving to Las Vegas. which
Right,
he's just
he's
like, I don't he don't want his kid being raised in Las Vegas, which I can't say I blame him.
right. Just New York in the late '60s, early '70s, not necessarily that much better.
No, it wasn't. No,
At least he'd be around.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, and of course, with Denzel, he's uh, he gets a beautiful Puerto Rican wife, and he starts getting noticed by a lot of people, including a group of corrupt cops led by Thanos.
Oh, is that him? Okay.
Yeah, that was Josh Brolin. Yeah.
Now I gotta say, I'm going to take a minor disagreement with you saying like he flies under the radar. Like I would say not so much that he doesn't do big obvious things. He doesn't do stupid things by and large.
Right.
Like he doesn't get high on his own supply. He does. He is like he'll go out with his wife, but he's not, bringing over hookers or things like that.
Right.
He's treating being a drug dealer like he's a legitimate businessman.
Yeah.
Keeps that sort of discipline.
I just remembered he did shoot Idris Elba in the head.
I was going to say that's the other thing is that that his attitude seems to be very much don't start nothing, won't be nothing, but you will take me seriously. And he kind of had to force people to take him seriously because everyone was used to thinking of him as the old mobster's errand boy.
Yeah.
So
and
like he's the one who's willing to do the crazy things that other people wouldn't do. Like he goes to Vietnam at the height of the Vietnam War to make direct arrangements to smuggle things in via the U.S. military.
Because his cousin's ex-husband is his contact, and that's how he's getting the drugs through, and doing it in very dishonorable means too, which I guess just goes to show how just awful those people were.
And how there's always corruption everywhere, unfortunately. Meanwhile, like Russell Crowe's character is kind of like he doesn't quite have the same sort of drive. I would say like he is out for justice for his dead partner, and that's the other thing is that I feel like Denzel is very clearly the villain here, which is not a role I usually think of him as being in.
No,
maybe antagonist is the better way to put it.
Yeah. Well, I would say Training Day. He was definitely a villain.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that because I haven't seen that one yet, but I know the basics of it.
Yeah, and actually, this isn't the first time Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe have been in a movie together. They were in it was mid-90s. It was called Virtuosity.
Haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's a very obscure movie. I think it bombed when it came out. But Denzel plays the good guy in that movie, and Russell Crowe plays the bad guy.
Excuse me. But right. Where I was going with it is that they are not shy about showing the consequences of somebody bringing a much purer, cheaper product to the streets.
Oh yeah.
Like he can give away as many turkeys as he likes. He is still poisoning his people. Yeah.
Well, and with kind of where I got the comparison with New Jack City, because that was the same thing where, Wesley Snipes is, he's poisoning his community, but he's also handing out free turkey. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Whereas Crowe is shown trying to do his best in a corrupt system, and definitely it's like this movie is like a mashup of New Jack City and The Untouchables.
That oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
because Crowe is definitely being portrayed as, like, if he's not the white knight, he's definitely the honest man trying to work through a dishonest system.
yeah, yeah. I can definitely see that. Yeah, and he and in although as in one particular scene, he does face his own bit of discrimination.
Yep.
Because he gets called the K word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
like
he's
come on.
Jewish.
Yeah.
And I guess that does kind of parallel Denzel's experience with the Italian mobsters who don't quite like that one of his people is working his way up the industry.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of why I say like part of it of him being like under the radar, so to speak, is that he kind of uses sort of uses his skin color to his advantage. That like, oh, nobody takes this guy seriously.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
one of the people at one point says, "You expect to believe that a expletive deleted can do better than the Italian mob?"
yeah. Like, okay, yeah, yeah. That it just goes to show the how people thought back then. Yeah,
Yes. Um, Now, in terms of how the movie is actually made, this thing is extremely this thing is extremely watchable.
yeah,
Like it just flows. It has such tight pacing, and
yeah,
I did occasionally lose track of the passage of time, but they're pretty good about when they do a time jump. They have a different news event, so you can kind of place it.
yeah. Yeah, they'll mention they'll mention the year and they'll talk about like, oh, it's
Right. Yeah.
1973 and
Right.
this is happening in Vietnam
Or it's like
or
oh, Lyndon Johnson has opted not to run. Oh, Nixon has won re-election.
yeah,
Nixon is setting up this anti-drug task force.
yeah. No mention of Watergate though.
Yeah, it just wasn't germane to the movie, I suppose,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
or it didn't last that long.
right, yeah, yeah, or but and then of course then they had the fall of Saigon in there.
Yep.
Yeah,
But the soundtrack is designed to get you into the era.
mhm.
I the costume design I kind of questioned slightly, but that's because I thought we were still in 1968 at one point, where I was seeing some very 70s looking fashion. But I think I was just had lost track of a time skip.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A little too disco.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
But I'm not enough of an expert to really question it because
yeah.
1968 is pre-70s, sort of 70s.
Yeah, it's the hippie era. Yeah.
Yep. Um, it does tell you that in 48 hours that what's his name's character, since he was still basically dressing like Russell Crowe had in the late 60s and 70s, I was really behind the times.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. uh, oh man. But yeah,
But
no, I yeah, I mean this was a good movie. Yeah, it keeps holds your interest very well. I was a little worried about that when I saw it's a 2.5 hour movie, but it does go by pretty quickly.
yep. And it's interesting because you see where both characters are coming from, but like I said, I feel that Denzel's character is definitely they definitely stack up enough evidence that he is not the good guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hey Edwin, good to see you, man.
Hey man.
Um, oh no,
But
yeah, they definitely show he is not a good guy. And although I will say there at times, yeah, they do kind of give him like a little bit of a gray, a little bit of a shade of gray here and there because like I
like
mean
he loves his family. He's
yeah, he loves his
he isn't
family, he loves his
cheating on
wife.
his wife.
Yeah,
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 exactly. It's like he's good to people who are his. It's just that he it's like is very much poisoning many thousands of innocent people to make
yeah.
his dream come true.
Yeah. But yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's on Netflix.
And I looked up a little bit of the accuracy on this, not
Yeah.
not like a full detail, just found a YouTube video to watch. From the sounds of it, it is a bit more true to life than The Untouchables was, because as I recall, we declared that The Untouchables
Oh yeah,
was accurate insofar as there were people named Elliot Ness and Al Capone in Chicago who didn't like each other.
yeah.
This seems to be a bit more accurate, but they played up the cat and mouse nature of Washington's and Crowe's characters. Also, like things like Lucas says that he did go to Southeast Asia disguised as a soldier to make his arrangements. That's uncorroborated.
Yeah.
And he did apparently claim that he shot that guy in front of everybody, but he was never prosecuted for it. So it's interesting that if you really shot somebody in front of all those people and the state was trying to make a case against you, you think that would come up?
Well, I mean, you ask around if there were any witnesses. They're like, "Oh, I didn't see anything."
Right, that's true. That could have just been too dry of a trail, but still interesting. But it's like it's not history, but it is a compelling story.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, I think we've said all we need to say for tonight.
Indeed.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, ring the bell, buy some comic books or buy some books.
All those good things.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.